Welcome back. It's time for our newest financial segment, Set for Life with Nick Sapienza. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks for having me back.
Of course. So when you first started, it was like a little introductory course for finances.
Yeah.
So the big question for today is, where do we want to be? Which is a very broad question, I'm sure, for a lot of us.
Yeah, and to back it up, we're trying to create a system for you and how we make decisions. It's a lot like the scientific method if you think about it. So with financial planning, it's where am I today, which we discussed last time. Taking an inventory, deciding if you're happy there or not. Where do you want to be? Can you get there? How do you get there? And then how do you stay on track? So today we'll cover part 2, which is where do I want to be and am I on track? Or I guess parts 2 and 3. So the best way to talk about this is to use an example. So we create a person, right? And her name's Adele. She's 35.
Okay.
She wants to retire when she's 65, so she's got 30 years to go. And to use just round numbers and keep it simple, let's say that she makes $100,000 a year. She saves $10,000 a year. She has $100,000 in her 401k, and she thinks she should average about 7% a year going forward until she retires. And her ultimate goal is to be not just retirement, but financially independent. And 65 is the age that she has in mind.
Yeah.
And we talked about that last time, like what can we control, what we can't, what's in our court. So for her, if she continues on this current path, and her goal is to maintain her current lifestyle, she spends $5,000 a month, let's say. Her current path, she's going to end up with about $1.7 million when she retires. I think we have a chart of that.
Yeah, we have a chart. There
we go.
One.
Yeah, so that's one example. That's given us a little bit over $2 million if we made some adjustments. But currently, her current status is she's going to end up with 1.7.
Okay.
And you would think, okay, great, we should be able to pull 60 grand out of that per year. She's made it. Unfortunately, though, she's off target by a pretty big margin because we didn't account for inflation.
Yeah.
Right? We were experiencing that in real time right now. So if we factor that in, to maintain lifestyle, she's really going to need about getting closer to 2.5 to 3 million.
Okay.
So she's got to make some adjustments, right? What are those adjustments that she can make? She can't control the stock market, but we're going to assume she'll still average 7% a year. She can make more money. She can work longer. She can spend less, or she can save more. And it's up to her to decide which one of those trade-offs she's comfortable with.
Yeah, she's willing to.
Yeah.
So now, if someone comes to you and like, okay, is there ever a number that's too far off reach? You think?
Well,
so how do you determine? I mean, you kind of said it like the best number for you, because when you gave Adele's example, she was a little off.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of figure out like, okay, I want to be here, but is that goal really attainable?
Yeah. Well, we discussed those trade-offs. In order for her to hit that goal, she's going to have to save as maybe $25,000 to $30,000 per year, which is 25 to 30% of her income. That might not be achievable.
Yeah. So
if she's not willing to work longer or to spend less in the future, she's got to figure out, okay, how can I make more money and how can I save more to make sure that I hit my goal? But some of those numbers are way far off, so we go back to square one, which is where do you want to be, and most importantly, why do you want to be there? When you start to unpack why, you'll uncover like a lot of psychological things, a lot of biases, where maybe society makes you think that you need to be at a certain level, but really you've defined what is enough to you already. Like I just need this lifestyle. I don't need all the extra things, all the extravagancies that I see around me. I'm good with this. So we go back to redefining that. Then go back to step 2, discuss those trade-offs.
It's a cycle. Whenever you try to
to
figure out like where you want to be in life, you have to always go back to the why.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
This is great information. I'm so glad that we have this series. If people at home have any questions, how can they contact you?
We have a pretty strong media presence. So we have YouTube channels, podcasts. If you search for or just Google the Compound News, you'll find us somehow.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
If you guys want to rewatch the segments, head to kdn.com. But let's check in with Adam Olivier.